rev up your engines. Today I'm going to show you how to fix a worn out suspension. In the case of this RAV4, the customer was hearing noise in the left front and it wasn't riding right. So I jacked it up in the air, then crawled under. And what do we see? The top of the strut is all oily, meaning that the strut is probably leaking. Let's check the other side. Well, we'll go to the other side and lo and behold, there's the strut. You can see the whole thing is dry. Instead of being dark on the top, it's dry, so this one isn't leaking. As you can see on the leaking side, the bottom is dry, but all the way up is wet. That means that the strut inside is leaking and the hydraulic fluid's coming down. Now, if you want perfection in a ride, you replace them in pairs. You replace both front struts. But whatever you do, use quality ones. I'm using the KYB, Monroe, other brands. They never seem to work all that long or last for a long period of time, so I'm sticking KYBs. These are made in Japan. So we'll take off the tire. Get out of the way. And as you can see here, it's all leaking. We got to replace it because it's leaking away. Now here's the replacement strut. As you can see, it doesn't have the spring in the top assembly, so we have to remove the whole strut from the car, take it apart, then put all the pieces on here and bolt it back on the car. Unbolting the torsion bar bolt here, taking these two big bolts off, and of course we have to remove the tie rod arm first so we can get working room, and then when we flip it to the side it'll come off evenly. So we get snippers and we put them on a cotter pin and pull it out. Then we remove the bolt on top of the other arm. I'm lazy, I'm using an air wrench. It's a lot easier than doing it by hand. Now you can try to use a hammer to hit that off, but often they're frozen on pretty solid. So I use this puller tool. It always works. Just fits in on it. It just screws on the top of the bolt here, and then when you tighten it, it pops right off. There it goes. And now by swinging this, we can access all the little bolts we need to take off all the parts that are bolted to it. And as you can see now, the hose and everything swings free, so when we pull this back it won't bind. And we take the torsion bar bolt off, get that out of the way, and then remove the two giant bolts that hold it together. As you can see now, the whole assembly's released. Then we switch to the top where the three mounting bolts are and take them out. We just take them off. Now the back ones are harder to get to, so I'm using this angled wrench to reach them and get it out. I can't even use my impact there, there's no room. They fit on and you gotta pull a little harder, but they come off. Then the whole assembly falls down and you take it out. Here it is. Now comes the hard part. You gotta compress the spring. I'm using these basic spring compressors. Now you can buy a whole strut assembly, but one, they cost a fortune. A whole strut assembly costs over 3 times what the good replacement costs without the spring and assembly. Generally, the whole strut assemblies are much cheaper made. Like the Monroe quick struts, I've tried them, they didn't last long, they didn't ride right. I stick with replacing them with a quality unit myself. Now you stick the spring compressor on one side to squish it down. You put that on and tighten it a little. Then go back and forth till you get the tension off the top. Now you can see why I'm using an air tool. You can use wrenches and do it by hand, but it takes a lot longer doing it that way. Get an electric impact wrench if you want. Those will take these off too. And once these are tight, you take the top off. Wiggle it off. Then the whole assembly comes off. Move all the parts, and then place the spring assembly on top of the new one. And if you look closer, you'll see there's a notch on the end of this, and it fits right into the little grooved hole. Then you took the top of the assembly with the bearing and put that back on here. You got to do some wiggling with these. There. Then before you go any further, put the top nut on so it doesn't bling all apart. And now that the top's tight, you can start loosening the clamps on the sides little by little. Do one side a little, then the other, and go back again. Now you can take them off. Then we fish it back through the bottom and bolt the top on first. That's always the fun part, a little wiggling, but then you get it on. Then put these 3, 1, 2, 3 back here, just on somewhat snug so you can still wiggle the assembly to get the bottom on. Now you got to slide this in pull it up, wiggle and put the bolts in. And really, to get them in, you gotta wiggle the crap out of this thing, but eventually they'll slide in. Once you have the top one and the bottom one, you can wiggle it a little, and it's easier because the top's in and the bottom will slide in with a little jiggling and pushing. Again, you can do this by hand, but it's a lot more work. You get them tight, use a long extension bar in a socket, you'll get them nice and tight. Then bolt all the pieces on like the torsion bar bolt. Stick the tie rod arm back into its hole, you gotta do a wiggling, but eventually it comes up through the hole there. Then tighten the nut on top of it and put in a new cotter pin. Stick the pin in and then pull it up on the other end with a pair of pliers so it doesn't come loose. Bend it up, that way it won't come out. Then go back up to the top and tighten those nuts on. You put the tire back on and you're done. So now you know how to fix your own car suspension when a strut wears out and starts leaking. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.